What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, with another edition of Where, Pick, and Dare, where I pick games for the various games that are occurring tomorrow. Whether it's football, baseball, basketball, basically whatever games I want to pick, I will pick them. With all that being said, on with the video. MLB. Toronto Blue Jays versus New York Yankees. The Blue Jays have a 43.1% chance to win. The Yankees have a 56.9% chance to win. This is at New York for pitchers. Scherzer for the Blue Jays has an ERA of 4.11, a WHIP of 1.13. And Gill for the Yankees has an ERA of 3.68 and a WHIP of 1.6. Now, Scherzer has pitched in 70 innings this year, while Gill has only pitched in 29 and third. So let's look at Gill's career. So for his career, he has an ERA of 3.57, the WHIP of 1.28. So, that's good pitching for Gill. Not really good pitching for Scherzer this year. So I say the Yankees have the pitching advantage. So with home field advantage and pitching advantage, I think the Yankees will beat the Blue Jays tomorrow. Cleveland Guardians versus Tampa Bay Rays. The Guardians have a 45.2% chance to win. The Rays have a 54.8% chance to win. This is at Tampa Bay. For pitchers, Bibby for the Guardians has an ERA of 4.77, the WHIP of 1.31. And Baz for the Rays has an ERA of 4.98, the WHIP of 1.34. So not really good pitching for either team. Not really significant difference. So I think the home field advantage will be the big thing here. So I think the Rays will beat the Guardians tomorrow. Houston Astros versus Texas Rangers. The Astros have a 44.3% chance to win. The Rangers have a 55.7% chance to win. This is at Texas for pitchers. Brown for the Astros has an ERA of 2.34 and the WHIP of 1.01. And DeGrom for the Rangers has an ERA of 2.69 and the WHIP of 0.92. So really good pitching for both teams. Like this could be a great pitching duel. But it's not always going to give a difference here. So I think home field advantage will be the big thing here. So I think the Rangers will beat the Astros tomorrow. Boston Red Sox versus Arizona Diamondbacks. The Red Sox have a 54.3% chance to win, and the Diamondbacks have a 45.7% chance to win. This is at Arizona for pitchers. Giolito for the Red Sox has an ERA of 3.38 and the WHIP of 1.23. And Pafat for the Diamondbacks has an ERA of 5.33 and a WHIP of 1.39. So good pitching for Giolito, not really good pitching for Pafat. So it's a definite advantage for the Red Sox. So despite the home field advantage of the Diamondbacks, I think with the pitching advantage, I think the Red Sox will beat the Diamondbacks tomorrow. College football. Illinois Illini versus Duke Blue Devils. So Illinois has a 49.4% chance to win, and Duke has a 50.6% chance to win. This is at Duke. So, this could be a very interesting game. You have Altmaier, playing for Illinois. He was, at Ole Miss, in recent years. And you have, quarterback Mensa for Duke. They both have thrown for 3 touchdowns a year. So, it's obviously Mensa has more passing yards. This could be a pretty good game. Like, I think this could be a really good game. And so I think this could be a one of. So I think that with it being at Duke, and Illinois. Look, Illinois is ranked 11. Duke is unranked. So who knows how good. So Illinois definitely has a good chance. Now I don't know why Illinois is ranked 11. I don't think they're that great compared for Big Ten. I mean they're fine. I mean Brett Bielema's a decent coach. Duke, they make things interesting, but I think I'm picking the up with it being at Duke, and basically Duke's gonna have a lot more people there, different home field advantage. Even though it's not a basketball game, so who knows how many Duke people actually show up if it's not basketball. but I think with the home field advantage, I think Duke will beat Illinois tomorrow. Iowa Hawkeyes versus Iowa State Cyclones. So, yeah, so Iowa has a 34.6% chance to win. Iowa State has 65.4% chance to win. This is at Iowa State. So, this is a game that's generally pretty interesting each year. It's kind of it's become a more significant rivalry in recent years, partly due to Iowa State's, rise in quality under, Matt Campbell's leadership as coach. And, Iowa is always a team that can look to make an upset. Now, doesn't mean so. This could be interesting. You have Gronowski for the Hawkeyes, who has like 44 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Very Iowa State of him. Very Iowa of him. And yeah, now for the Cyclones, whew, yeah, Becht with 461 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now that's through 2 games. Yeah, so that's different because Iowa State played in week 0, a week that no one cares about. But this could be an interesting game. This is a game that's pretty interesting. But I think that being at Iowa State and with how good Iowa State, like Iowa State's 16, Iowa's unranked. Iowa's generally not going to be ranked a lot. Generally, that does not happen. But this could be interesting. But I think that Iowa State will beat Iowa. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be very close. I think Iowa State's going to beat Iowa tomorrow. Baylor Bears versus SMU Mustangs. So Baylor has a 33.1% chance to win, and SMU has a 66.9% chance to win. This is at SMU for so as far as this game, this could be good, for quarterbacks, Robertson for Baylor has 419 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jennings for SMU has 260 yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And this could be a good game. SMU's ranked 17, 1-0. Baylor's 0-1. Their loss was a close one against Auburn. And this you know which that was a good game. And yeah, this could be an interesting game. Like SMU, they're in the ACC, even though they're in the middle of the country. Hey, I don't make up these realignment stuff. I didn't make it up. I mean, like they're in the ACC right now, the Atlantic Coastal Conference, and they're doing, and basically SMU they've gotten good, and then obviously they're playing Baylor. So this is like an in state. They're both in the same state. This could be a good game. Obviously, as far from a quarterback standpoint, I don't know who I can say is better. I mean, you could argue Baylor's quarterback's better. Robertson. So, but this is at SMU. Now I don't know how big SMU's fan base is these days. I mean, Saint like the Pony Express days. Baylor, they have a decent fan base. So, but I think with it being at SMU, I think SMU beats Baylor tomorrow. Ole Miss Rebels versus Kentucky Wildcats. Ole Miss has a 3.6% chance to win, and Kentucky has a 16.4% chance to win. This is at Kentucky. Um, yeah, so Ole Miss is ranked 21-0. Kentucky's unranked 1-0. So, this could be a sneaky good game. Kentucky's a team that occasionally looks to try to pull off upsets. I wouldn't say this year's team is like that. I mean, their quarterback, Zach Calzada, former A&M, Texas A&M quarterback, basically this year he's 10 of 23 for 85 yards, 1 interception. Simmons for Ole Miss is 20 of 31, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions with 341 yards. So, from a quarterback standpoint, I would still say Ole Miss is better despite throwing more interceptions. But this could be a good game. It's at Kentucky. Kentucky's a basketball school, but they have been able to get more people to show up for football in recent years, mostly due to when Benny Snell was there, for a while, for a little bit, being like the most valuable running back in the SEC when he was there. Because yeah, well, so Kentucky may have a decent crowd, but Ole Miss I think is just a lot better. When Lane Kiffin has now Mark Stoops has done a lot with Kentucky. He's a good coach. He can he can occasionally make some noise, but I think with what Lane Kiffin's done with Ole Miss, I think Ole Miss is going to be too much for Kentucky. So I think Ole Miss will beat Kentucky tomorrow. Arizona State Sun Devils versus Mississippi State Bulldogs. Arizona State has a 54.1% chance to win, and Mississippi State has a 45.9% chance to win. This is at Mississippi State. So you know, this could be a good game. You have Arizona State ranked number 12, 1-0 record, Mississippi State unranked 1-0 record. So you have Big 12 versus SEC. Big 12 is kind of a crapshoot as far as conference goes. SEC, Mississippi State's probably at mid-tier, lower tier team generally for that, but they're a team that generally comes up every once in a while to make some noise. Maybe get some upsets in 2014 being the most notable year. When they were ranked number one in the polls. The one time I think they were in the college football playoff, the first ever college football playoff poll. Mississippi State was actually number one until they lost to Alabama. But so yeah, this could be a good game. So for Arizona State, Levitt at quarterback is 25-39, 257 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Blake Shapen for Mississippi State, 26-33 for 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So quarterbacks, it's probably relatively even. And this could be a good game. I think, so Shapen has improved since he first got to Mississippi State. He has seemed to have improved now. Granted, that was against last week. That was against Southern Miss. So whatever. It's Southern Miss. So it's hard to say. But and this is it in Mississippi State. You have the cowbells ringing there, and those cowbells are loud. They can really disrupt the opposing team, which is what they're intended for. I mean, and they follow the rules. Once the center's hand touches the ball, they're supposed to stop ringing. And basically, most people in Starkville follow that rule because they don't want to lose the cowbells. Like that, I mean, that's how it works. So hey, you can ring it unless the center's hand's on the ball. Once that happens, no artificial noise. And so yeah, so I think with this being at Starkville with all the cowbells, the way that stadium works, I think Mississippi State is going to beat Arizona State tomorrow. Michigan Wolverines versus Oklahoma Sooners. Michigan has a 46.5% chance to win, and Oklahoma has a 53.5% chance to win. This is at Oklahoma, so Michigan's ranked 15, 1-0. Oklahoma's ranked 18, 1-0. This is where college game day's going because there's nothing else. I mean, no, really, there was nothing else to go to. So this could be a good game. Underwood for Michigan is 21-31, 1 touchdown, 251 yards. Mateer for Oklahoma, 30-37, 392 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And so with this being at Oklahoma, that definitely gives the Sooners an advantage there. Michigan, with a new quarterback going into a hostile environment like Oklahoma, that could be interesting. And it's Big Ten, SEC, discussion over who the better conference. Ohio State beat Texas last week. You know, Oklahoma fans are probably okay with Texas losing. So are probably A&M fans. But you have the whole deal. People are saying the Big Ten's better than the SEC. Yeah, And so, this could be a good game. This could be a really good game. And, I don't know how much I would say Oklahoma has improved since last year. But, I think they could be a decent team. Yeah, I think Michigan could also be a decent team. Like, I think with this being at Oklahoma, I think that Oklahoma beats Michigan tomorrow. And that's it for picks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my picks. Do you agree with them? Do you not? If you have different picks, you can put them in the comments. But other than that, please like, subscribe, and all that. Thank you for listening, and look forward to the next video.